Well, I got in at like 1 in the morning. I got 4 hours of sleep, but despite being a little bit tired, I'm excited because this is my first time in South America, obviously my first time in Colombia and Medellin, and I'm very optimistic. I have a good feeling about this city, particularly because I came here because they said the climate is good, and so far I think they're spot on. I love the climate. The weather is great. It's the end of May right now, and it's warm, but it's comfortable. It's like not too hot, I'm not sweating, so it only gets better from here. One thing I really like about the city, aside from the climate, is all the greenery that there is. There's just lots of plants and vegetation, and although it's a big city, so there's a lot of buildings, the greenery makes it feel really fresh. It's a little bit hard to record with all the road noise from the cars, but basically I'm gonna meet up with one of my friends, so it's a friend of a friend. We're both brand new to the city. We both arrived on the same day today. So we're gonna explore together, so that'll be cool. And we're going into the Provenza, I think it's called. It's supposed to be a pretty active area, maybe more so at night, but we're gonna check it out in the late afternoon right now and see what's up. There wasn't too much to film here during the daytime. It's a nice place to come for lunch. There's a lot of restaurants in a small area, so it's kind of convenient for that. But this place really comes alive at night. That's when all the people come out and it gets very lively. This walking street area known as Provenza has security checkpoints at all the entrances to get in, so generally speaking it's pretty safe in that area. But it does get crowded, so pickpocketing could potentially be a problem. But if you step outside of this area, it changes very quickly, and there's more than the average number of prostitutes, drug dealers, and people asking for money on the streets. So walking down with my phone in my hand and vlogging like this is not something I felt comfortable doing on the streets. But really the biggest thing for me, safety-wise, was just the risk of, if I'm vlogging like this, somebody on a bike or a motorcycle just snatching my phone out of my hand. But overall, safety-wise, in Medellin, I didn't feel more unsafe than I would in like Seattle or other cities in the US or Western Europe. Now obviously it depends like what neighborhood you're in. There's good neighborhoods and bad neighborhoods. I checked out some of the other neighborhoods and they just weren't as interesting, so maybe they're safer but they're kind of more boring. Just unfortunate because I never felt really unsafe anywhere, but the more people I talked to, the more they always mentioned how dangerous everything was, and so I guess I'll just have to trust their perspective on it. So that's in El Poblado, which is basically the foreigners' hub in Medellin. Some other districts that are recommended for foreigners are Envigado and Laureles. Maybe that's good for living, but I didn't find anything notable out there to take a picture of. But then the other interesting area, if you're a tourist at least, is Comuna 13. So you can take the metro here, which actually includes a cable car, which is really cool. It's a good way to kind of get a view of some of the favela-like structures from above. But then you can actually walk in here, and the history is really interesting, although not in a good way. Back in the day, this neighborhood used to be kind of a war zone between the narcos and the police, and unfortunately some civilians would get caught up in the violence. But nowadays it's kind of like a peace memorial with a lot of art and murals and graffiti. It's a good tourist area with a lot of shops and restaurants. I really enjoyed checking it out, but I think if you go too far outside the tourist zone, it could still be potentially dangerous, but definitely worth checking out if you're in the area. Getting outside of Medellin now, my friend Bill and I took a tour to this place called Piedra del Penol, which is kind of this large rock structure surrounded by lakes, so geographically it's very cool. A little bit smaller than I expected based on the photos I'd seen. You can walk up to the top of the rock in about 10 minutes or so, and then once you're up there it gives you really good views, so definitely a cool spot to look at. And then after that, our tour went to a little town nearby called Guatape, which is super colorful and has a lot of fun restaurants and shops and streets to explore, so definitely good for photo ops. And now, where I'm filming this vlog from is actually Bogota. So I'm in the capital of the country now. I haven't really had a chance to explore a lot here because I've been having trouble sleeping, and then it's also been raining, so the combination of that, trying to get out and do things, has been hard. Although I did go to this place called Montserrat, which is supposed to be pretty cool. It's a little hike up a hill, and there's like a church up there and some restaurants. And as soon as I got up there to start taking videos of the views and everything, it started to rain, so I didn't really have a lot of time up there, unfortunately. and then went to a different district called La Candelaria, I think it's called, which has a lot of government buildings and historic buildings. So architecturally, it's definitely the best part of the city. I just wandered around there and took a lot of photos, and definitely my favorite part of Bogota that I've seen so far, which is limited, but it's a nice area. Well, I forgot to talk about the food. We could just go over that real quick. Unfortunately, Colombian food is hard to find amongst all the other restaurants that are Peruvian, Argentinian, Mexican. The only notable Colombian food I've had is called bandeja paisa, which is a variety of meats and rice and egg and beans, and it's pretty good. But I haven't had a lot of like truly Colombian food, although there was the big ass ants that I ate one time, and I was not a fan of that. It's literally a big ant. They call them big ass ants. It's about as exciting as you'd expect it to be, so I tried it one time and I wouldn't do it again. I wouldn't choose to eat it again. So overall, my experience in Colombia has been very positive. I didn't really have expectations. This was kind of a stopping point on my journey further south. But I really like Colombia. It's really nice. The climate is amazing. The food has been good. Cost of living is fair. It's not cheap, but it's not too expensive yet. But I think that's changing, especially Medellin is going to get more expensive with all the foreigners there. It's a beautiful country and I want to explore more. It's just too bad that everyone I talk to always has to talk about how unsafe it is. And again, I haven't felt too unsafe myself. I've walked home at like 2 in the morning by myself sometimes, and it's not recommended, but I've survived, obviously. I wish it had a better reputation for safety. So I could see myself coming back here and checking out more of the country. But right now, it's time to leave. I'm going to Argentina next, and we'll see how long I stay there. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.